All right. Well, I'm glad how we said that, maybe Darius or some of these bruiser junglers would happen. And here, game one, Kenyon plays Morgana just to flex, and then hard wins the game. So, yeah. Also, Gnar got nerfed twice and is still like the number one pick ban win rate in the entire MSI. Like, great, fantastic, way to go, Iceland.
Hello and welcome to Reaction Time, the League of Legends esports podcast. Today was the first day of MSI, and Eric was a sleepy boy and missed the Damwon versus Cloud9 game. So we're going to watch and commentary and react and see how that goes for just a little bit change of pace and content, because I very much enjoyed this game. Eric has heard some things about this game that I didn't agree with, so I want to see if his mind has changed after watching the game, or is the rest of the ecosystem really got a better bead than me. So, how you doing, Eric?
I'm doing okay. I'm curious. I can start talking as soon as we hit play.
Okay,
So,
3, 2, 1, play.
all right. So already, I'm fascinated by this because here's Canyon playing this jungle Morgana pick, and he had 4 CS when BLABER had 0, and was already on his second camp. So is that already how powerful this jungle Morgana is, Steven? Is it you can clear multiple camps ahead of these AD carries in the jungle or whatever? Is that how this works?
Yeah, because the pool is so you can just see how he just burns through these large camps, and Kindred is really required to focus on the smaller camps in the early game, and when you're playing Kindred, getting that first Scuttle Soul is so absurdly vital. And no spoilers, but it doesn't fucking happen.
All right, so let's see what side it spawns on. So BLABER full cleared his top side, so he's getting to the bot side now, and in the meantime, Canyon's already killed blue buff on the other side of the map.
Yes,
after
red,
full clearing
blue,
his bot side.
red, birds, blue, Gromp. I think wolves before the scuttle spawns, just for
Okay. Holy cow. All right, so that's pretty nuts. I'm just checking in on other farm totals right now. Bot lane's pretty even, mid lane looks pretty even, top lane looks reasonable. Although Khan already popped a pot because Gangplank is busted. And then, okay, so Fudge got a cheater recall off and is respawned, which is one of the things I did here, is that Fudge got a good recall off here basically for free. So all right, so I see that. Oh my gosh! All right, so this is why it's so bad. Is that man, Damwon hard forced fast minion wave to make that happen, while Canyon, so then Canyon could shove him off of this crab.
yes.
All right, wow. So that was really aggressive and well done from Barrel and Ghost to win him that advantage, as
And
Showmaker's
Showmaker's
winning
there
mid.
too. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
a complete unit of a team,
yeah.
and I
And so what I will call out is Fudge has a really good lane state top lane because of his cheater recall. So now it's pushing into him, so he has a freeze top lane while Khan had to back for a less optimal buy. So this turned out pretty well for them on the top lane. Bot lane is doing fine. Zen's kind of lower on HP, but it's an okay matchup. And the fact that the fact that they're not the worst off at this point in time against Jhin is fine. And then, okay, that was his actual summoner spell teleport. I'm curious always. They got rid of the thing from Zoe where you can pick up free teleports, which is good. It made it so that the way you win at Zoe is no longer getting a free teleport pre 4 minutes. It's now, can you pick up the free OP items actives before 4 minutes, redemption. Yeah. The best Zoes in the world get redemption before 4 minutes in the game is generally the consensus.
Yeah.
All right. But C9's bot lane is getting punished pretty hard so far with just stuff. The Tom Kench is pretty worthless, honestly. I don't really like that pick.
Well, the
into this comp.
mindset is the Morgana
Binding
lock-in
plus
first. Yeah.
bubble. Yeah. You want it as an answer to binding plus bubble, which is absurd. But Tom is such a worthless champion in general right now in this meta. Also, your Devourer's cooldown is not good enough for the amount of those pick tools that
No.
Damwon has on the table. It just won't save you from that.
No, especially when
But
you could go something like a Braum or
damn.
like.
Also, the fact that they're like losing lane with it is really bad. Like, if you're like, you want winning lanes. Like, I always harp on this, but it's like winning lanes is how you win in the meta right now. And like in general, like you want advantageous lanes so that your jungler doesn't get bodied off of Scuttle Crab.
Right.
Which has already happened. So Perks is doing okay though. He's like down on farm, but that's because he has this wave pushing into him, and he's like way up on experience, and he's on Victor. So like they do have a decent amount of scaling with Gangplank and Victor, so their comp is fine. It's also easier to execute. I'm always super nervous about Morgana jungle with these like comps because it's like how do you team fight with this nonsense? You know, like. And it really is like super reliant on Khan and also Cloud9 to like int into Khan in like team fights. So we'll see how it goes. So they're taking Dragon right now, which is really good. If they get Dragon Ball rolling with Kindred, that's like very strong for them. Man, they almost killed Showmaker. Oh, but did he steal Dragon? Oh my gosh. Is he gonna lose the crab to the? Okay, he did get the crab. Oh no! Did he get the crab with the tick of pool?
Yes.
All right,
but you know,
so they get first blood on Sven, which is good. So like, here's this lethality Varus who has first blood.
Yes.
And is now like even in this lane against Jhin. So like all of a sudden bot lane is now winning, where they were losing.
Correct.
So at least they have that going for them. And like, even though like, oh my god, he's like, Khan is countering his red buff. Oh my gosh, this is tragic.
That's
so, man. Oh, and then he walks into him. Oh no. Oh no.
But you know, this was a really close game. Like, it was really close.
Yeah. Like, oh, man. Because like their lanes have been playing pretty well for the most part. Like they're just like too many.
They've been
like,
in the lane.
lanes, and like they have good farm. Like it's not like they're like falling behind. And, oh my god, that explains a lot. Wow.
But you know,
and then the Gangplank ult is like kind of late.
Yeah. But you know, Vulcan's got to chase that Zoe underneath.
But like the fact that like they just like have to back off the crab to chase down this kill, and then like
and
blue crab, yeah.
Like Perks is still not in this fight. Perks never joined that fight.
Yeah, they like almost killed Showmaker before it started. Is kind of like what was
right,
happening.
But Showmaker like, wasn't even there. It was before it started. He still never moved over.
Yeah.
When they were still pursuing this fight, they might have been able to wipe all three of them and not just get one kill out of that if he had moved.
Oh my gosh. I don't know about that. Like, I think that was super greedy. They have no hard CC at that point because like I don't think Sven was level 6 yet. So like, how do they even? They can't. They have no CC.
Yeah.
They can't chase them down. They just like walk away.
They have no CC
like,
on this comp.
Well, Perks brings CC, but like he has to set up for it. So like the way that C9 should position is by getting there first, right? Because if you get there first and they have to like walk into you with Victor, with Kindred, with Gangplank, with Varus, it's like really brutal. But like you can't like chase. You can't chase with this comp.
No.
Like Gangplank ult is nice for chasing, I guess, for like slowing them down a bit, but like you can't reasonably catch up to people.
Well, yeah, and it's more like in this situation like controlling avenues of movement. So like if you're throwing down Chaos Storm and the Gangplank ult, like there's very limited options of where the fuck you can go. So they're just not leveraging the tools. But I'll still reiterate, like, don't start the dragon until the mid play is done. Then, if you have to force like these choke points, it's so easy.
When you're
to
like
do.
support and mid lane are like diving the turret. Like
don't have that because like.
Oh no, he's on that ward.
And he's not healthy.
It doesn't look like he's gonna die yet.
No.
Okay. Alright. Yeah, it's just Khan had that free kill.
Oh, yeah. And free red buff.
I like these number of games international all time.
Yeah.
Where it's like Khan 55, Fudge 5.
Perks 114.
Alright, well they just got a free kill on Barrel, so that's nice. Like Damwon giving up kills bot lane is one of the things I heard from people about like potential weaknesses to exploit at the international level.
Yes.
Like Ghost and Barrel's laning hasn't been the best. Oh my gosh. Alright, Sven, time for your fancy feet. I love the scout salute for that. That's very good. Oh my gosh, that Q.
That big chonker boy.
Yeah, all right. So he has one. He's serrated Dirk at this point.
Yeah. Like they could have won this game if they could have played through Sven.
Alright.
Oh man.
Yeah, okay, so now we get to see how Barrel dies. So he's like all in here, or does he just get caught? Okay, so he does go for the stun.
Yeah.
And then now is when the Tahm Kench eat like matters. And then they also they do blow the flash, but that works.
Yeah, they got the kill. And they need a GPL, but see, because Khan is like just pile driving this lead, and like the Gangplank ult is being used to where they can't refunnel back into him. Like it's just like it's these micro costs that aren't really paying off all that great. Because
Is
like
Khan,
here,
Khan is alright. So just so I'm following, alright. So they do kill Canyon with Zen. Now here comes Barrel and Khan. Alright, they kill Barrel. So they got 2 kills for nothing here. That's great. In the meantime, before teleporting in, Khan was proxying a wave top lane, which is disgusting. Like so wow. And so like that wasn't even due to Fudge's lane. Like Fudge was doing fine.
no,
It's
that's
just
what I'm saying.
that
You
he,
still
like,
have to
got too hard and
reinvest
vague.
pressure somewhere. Like if you're
Yeah.
using these Gangplank ults, you have to be gaining some pressure because, like, at the end of the day, yes, it's a global ult, but you're still losing a tool that could be used in your lane to get out of this very oppressive situation that you're in with this Gnar.
Alright, so I love how they got that kill on Canyon after y'all in there. It's like Morgana without Zonias is
Yeah, you should punish that.
it's not like a tanky champion or anything. Yeah. So does he even have a stopwatch yet? No?
No.
Okay. So does he even need to build one in this game? He's still up like 20 CS.
Yeah.
So like the question is, do you stabilize like 20 CS down? Because that's one of the things I've noticed with like this Udyr meta is that typically like Udyr getting 20 CS up is expected in like these power clear metas, and then can you stabilize is the question, or have you just lost the game because the enemy jungle is 20 CS up is what we start to see. So like let's see if like oof.
Bonk.
Let's see if they start to stabilize or not. Yeah, Perks just got hit with a paddle star for like 400 HP. Alright, so then they're helping Perks shove mid again because Showmaker went over for blue buff, so this wave is crashing. They're back on Dragon. They got that one. Gonna pop, and it's gonna be either Ocean or Infernal, which is big. It's gonna be Ocean. Ocean is big for either team because it's like they're like both 2 high poke comps, and Ocean like wins poke matchups. Like I mean, any Dragon Soul is great for like poke comps, except for like maybe Cloud. So like,
Yeah,
it's pretty
depends
good.
on what your poke is. Like if you could poke, and then follow up with like huge ult movement or whatever.
Did they drop Scuttle Crab for him top lane, or did he just like take that turret?
Rift Herald?
Yeah.
Yeah, big Scuttle Crab, the big one.
Okay, the big one. Yeah.
Yes, I believe they did.
Okay, because I just saw Khan take that turret like solo, and that's scary.
The big whiff. Oh, Sven.
Oh, nice jump over the wall from BLABER.
Very nice.
And look at Perks with his fancy feet
Yeah.
behind his turret. Okay, and so then they have the. Did you just solo ult? Oh no, okay, he took Blabber with. See, and this is that same thing we just talked about, where they just like walk away.
Yeah.
Like you have like a Tom Kench and a Kindred like alt in behind them, and it's like unless the Victor W was already there, like they
Right,
just
or you
walk
had the
out.
Varus ult or something, but Varus ult was just
Yeah,
yeeted into outer space down bot lane, so...
yeah. Well, only one of them can take the Tom Kench ult into the enemy team too.
Mhm.
All right, so I just finished Prowler's Claw, which is one of these hilarious things that I love because and it's because it just says flat lethality, right?
Yeah.
Like, because like you're not gonna like um sorry kid Sonic or Shadow the Hedgehog your way through them as Varus, right?
No.
Like it's just for the flat lethality.
Yeah.
Because like they nerfed Duskblade to like hell and back for ranged characters because Senna is a problem.
Yeah.
It's really Senna's that's the problem, not Duskblade. So let's see.
But why not just blanket nerf an item? That's more fun.
Yeah. They were worried like they're just gonna play Tristana with Duskblade instead, and it's like, why you gotta do me like that?
Souls BLABER has at this point. I don't think you can tell.
They might be saying on coverage, which I have muted.
Yeah, I have it quiet.
All right, so he hasn't finished his mythic yet. Canyon's up 25 CS still, so it still is fairly stable as far as CS diff goes, but does have like Leandry's and tier 2 boots, which is good when he has Predator.
Yeah.
So Fudge went Trend Force, which I'm thinking is pretty good on Gangplank and like the new itemization changes.
Yeah, but he's still 20 CS down.
Which like isn't too bad as Gangplank. Like he should have been in a better spot, but like the red buff on the enemy top laner is tragic. Because like he was even before that.
Yeah.
And then they dropped like and then they dropped Rift for him too. So like
well,
so
yeah,
Khan
they're
is
definitely
pretty big.
investing, so you have to get something elsewhere. Like you got to open up this GP to do something. And,
so
and then they're
here's
trying
another
to chase.
instance of
They're
they
trying to
dropped
chase.
like yeah, that was another instance of they dropped Gangplank ult and they dropped Tom Kench ult to try and make a pick, and he just like activates Gale Force and is out. Oof. Yeah, so now Fudge is in trouble.
Yeah.
Khan is
it's rough.
like the fact that Khan can just be in the enemy jungle like right now in this state is like really tragic. Because like they should not be able to like be that deep on the map. It should be punishable.
While Zoe is maintaining another lane, while like there's just no pressure anywhere at any point. And I feel like this is like an age-old NA tactic. It's like, we'll just weather the storm to late game, and then we'll be functional. In 55 minutes, we'll be able to win. But it's just like some limp play style, man.
Well, and they don't have a... Well, I guess their comp is okay with scaling, but like it's not like a team fight comp.
It's not great.
Yeah. Okay, so Perks is doing okay there. They got a good trade-off.
But they can't chase anything.
They can't chase, yeah. So it's just like they're both at half, so they have to back. Good fancy feet. Alright, Vulcan's able to walk into that bush unpunished. Alright. So Khan is in Mega right now. So like he's gonna alright, where's the teleport to? Alright, into the jungle. So they're trying to fight for this dragon. Khan just had to leave Mega, so like now is actually a great time for them as far as things go.
Yeah.
He's also who's porting on to Scuttle, like or Shelly. That's
Zoe.
like not ideal. Okay. Alright, they got it free. Nice. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Big fucking gun.
Fudge out. Okay, Fudge is out. They had to blow a lot of sums for that, but they got the dragon. They got out alive. How many turrets do they lose to this? To like it's Shirley. Is that the second one?
Shirley.
Yeah.
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 The bug.
Shirley, it's not Shelly.
Big bug.
Okay, and that turret is still up technically, but it's close.
Just
They haven't
barely.
taken any turrets yet. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they just know. Like, yeah.
Oof.
Bonk. Oof.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But Perch is still alive. He's able to clear this wave. Okay.
Oh my god.
They're still within like 1.5k. That's not terrible.
It's not
considering.
terrible, but there's just like no control on it. Like if there was more gold to be had, damn one would take it. So that's my thing. Like there just hasn't been available gold for them to get more ahead.
I guess what I would say is the fact that they're like this close in gold and they haven't taken turrets yet means if they ever can crack this turret, like they're gonna be even. Like that's
Yes.
it. It's like super like close.
Yeah, I mean it's 1 to 4.
Yeah, like all this gold is on Sven too. Like he's bigger than Ghost by a decent margin. Ooh. All right.
Bonk.
Man. BLABER walking into that was very tragic.
Yeah. That's reportable, Inting.
Okay, so this is one of the games that's like kind of tragic for best of one context.
Yes.
Because how much of this game is just BLABER getting like hard destroyed by Morgana jungle like in the early levels, right? Like if they played a second game immediately after this, I bet Morgana would be like insta banned and like
probably the rest of the
don't
tournament
play
Morgana is going to be banned against Damwon because like
yeah, you don't want to play against this.
No.
All right, so the Gangplank ult shoves them off the Baron pretty well, which is nice because like
there's so many glimmers of hope.
Yeah, because like actually as a whole, even with Khan, like Damwon is pretty squishy. Like because like especially if he's in mini Gnar, like they don't actually have like a great tank line.
This is a long range. We get to choose when the fight happens, but because they have no chase, we can just choose when to leave too, because we cannot be punished for doing anything. That's my core takeaway from how these compositions mesh. Because
all right, so BLABER just got A camps to go there.
But at what cost?
Ooh, oh, is Fudge dead again?
But what cost?
All right, Vulcan bailing him out. Oh shit, Khan. All right.
But what cost?
So thinking things through, I guess I have concerns about the Kindred pick in this game in multiple ways. So first off, there's the fact that like his clear isn't fast enough to compete with these like hyper clear champions. Right?
Correct.
Like the same thing would have happened if he was on Udyr instead of the Morgana. Like Udyr would also just like hard out farm him here. And then the second thing is that like with it, since Gnar it turns out is still like the highest picked top laner in this tournament, which I don't like after repeated nerfs is kind of questionable. So I'm guessing as this tournament continues, we see teams like start to move away from Gnar. But like with Gnar still high priority, Gnar is also insanely good into Kindred because like you just can like shove them out.
Excuse me.
And while you're still in it, and then like your team is unkillable, but the enemy team is, and that seems very bad. So like we'll see how this works out. Like the Morgana first pick is also just like absurd, or like early pick, I guess, because like it's
first, I think.
Because it's a flex, so you could flex this to support if like worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And it's not bad as support.
No.
You still have like a winning bot lane. And so like there's like many ways you can make this work.
Yeah, like I just even so, like there's just so many decisions that were made like in game states to where like Damwon just looks so comfortable in doing whatever the hell they want to do. Like they were never pressured into making a decision. There was no agency from Cloud9 to do anything except for the
Vulcan
2 dragons.
Bailed Ben out twice in that in that thing.
Yeah, like
he's trying.
Yeah, like the Tom Kench did everything that it could do. He was the champion that prevented some deaths.
All right, so what could they be doing better here? So like, let's see, they don't have Gangplank ult up yet, so like all they have really to work with is Chaos Storm, because Tom Kench ult is also still down, and like so it's like Chaos Storm and like Victor or
Varus Arrow, yeah.
Varus Arrow of like ult, yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I guess what they could be going for is trying to make a pick here with like Varus Arrow if like more than one Damwon member groups around this inhibitor or something. They could like group up and then try and force it.
Yeah.
But
it's just too oppressive with the Baron. Losing I think they could have gone harder to push them off of the Baron again, because them picking, like, having Baron with this huge poke comp just gives them the freedom to just usher these lanes, the waves into the towers, and like they have tremendous wave clear between Gangplank, Victor, and Varus, but it doesn't matter
against the Baron buff.
Yeah,
and then like they still haven't managed to take any turrets this game, which is starting to like really snowball, because they haven't been able to like figure out a way to position forward anywhere.
No. They cannot get a footing in this game. It is literally just like, how long can we not lose by saving our own asses? Because I mean, their composition is built around like staying the fuck alive, but it just doesn't matter when you're under this amount of poke and pressure. Boom.
Alright, so there's Ven, who's dead over there. And then the game ends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tragic!
Yeah, right. Like, I just don't...
Alright, well, I'm done watching this. So I guess that's how that one went. So Damwon looks pretty comfortable in this group then. I would say.
Yes.
Like, maybe Cloud9 has a better shot the next game, where they can like try and have like a less unfortunate jungle matchup. So then the next game was like a Infinity Gillette versus Detonation Focus Me, right? Which is like the next two teams in this group.
Yeah.
And I watched this one. Did you watch this one?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait,
so
no, I didn't watch this one. Hold on.
Okay, so first thing I noticed with like this game is that Morgana's banned.
Yeah.
by Gillette. So like their first three bans were Lee Sin, Morgana, and Rumble, who is like the other AP jungle pick that I saw today that was nuts. So teams have been trying to play these like AP jungle like power clear champions that are good with this new meta to varying effect. I think like the Morgana ban made a lot of sense to me after that first clear. These bad teams, I think you could actually let some of these picks slide against, because they're not as well equipped to have a jungler on these champions, and it's very clear. It's not from this game, but from one of the later ones. Yeah. And then, okay, so then,
and I do want to say, like, the whole advantage that you're getting with the AP jungle is that you're putting a Lee Sin Nocturne set, like, they hard shove, clear their minion wave, and then go do something with the jungler, which is either gank a lane or get some kind of objective. When you do not have a strong jungler to make those calls, and you do not have the team synergy or the macro to shovel a wave and then go do something with that free time, those compositions don't pay off as much. So that might be what we see shine on the teams that can make that work. That's where I have a concern that Cloud9 has not picked up the advantages of that meta, because that is very oppressive. I think we saw which game had the Nocturne versus Lee Sin matchup? Was that RNG versus Pentanet?
No, I don't think so. No, it was RNG versus Pentanet. You're right.
Cool.
Yeah.
I did it. I did my research, ladies and gentlemen. I actually watched the games for this podcast. It's a new era. But that, like, it kind of almost looked close for a hot minute and it really boiled down to because that was the Fiddlesticks game as well. And so,
Yeah.
like, the Fiddlesticks could have looked really good, but at the same time, they weren't doing anything with having a super clear Fiddlesticks and the wave clearing Lee Sin. Because Lee Sin needed to get the chain whip, push his lane, and then make something happen while Nocturne was clearing back and out of, like, either ult on cooldown or out of range of that ult. So that, like, if you do not have that option, don't force the AP jungle, but at the same time you got to figure out what's good against it.
Yep. So Infinity Gillette versus DFM. This was one of the interesting ones because DFM was actually like in the lead for like the first like 12, 13 minutes of this game. They looked pretty good. They did they kind of did the either RNG or like LPL flex where you have Renekton go mid and then you put your Akali top lane, which looked really sick in the early parts of this game. And then they had like one like terrible fight around mid lane where like Kazu on Rel was like in the middle of nowhere on this flank. He was sightseeing like the waterfalls or whatever and like not actually paying attention to the map in like Reykjavik with everyone else on his team. And then he gets collapsed on by Gillette Infinity, and then the rest of his team just like tries to hard force onto White Lotus, but White Lotus is playing Xayah, and so he just like gets out, and then they like hard lose the game from that one play, and it's just so tragic that like that was all it took for them to like go from a decent lead, they were up a couple K, into like nothing, and then they just lose the rest of the game from that spot because like their comp, like the Renekton is then behind, the Hecarim doesn't have enough to work with. Like Evie's lead just is like gone on the spot because he was like 3-0 on a Kali or some nonsense, and it's just like, all right, your team just lost you the game. Congratulations.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
Yeah, Ackerman looked really good. So like this veteran, like the veteran players on Infinity Gillette do look strong. So I'm kind of curious how their next games are going to go because they look decent versus DFM, who look like they have a really good read on how to play the map. Like their macro looked solid for the most part. It's just they make some noobish kind of plays and then got like really punished. So I think they're kind of out in this group already from that game. Like if you lost this game, you're not gonna get another chance.
No.
So then we had like Pentanet versus RNG, which is the game you were referring to. Wei knows how to play Jungle Rumble.
Yeah, he
That
does.
was sick. Man, they looked really good. Like, so any thoughts about Chinese sandbagging at this tournament are like straight out the window. Like Xiaohu didn't die.
On Lee Sin top.
Oh my gosh. No, wait, was no.
No.
This
That
game
was
he was on Gnar.
Right.
He like the Lee Sin was like the next one. Like yeah. Also, this is like such a comfort comp in some ways for RNG, where it's like Xiaohu's on Gnar, Gala's on Kaisa, which is like one of his like 3 champions, and they just like hard engaged and like hard won. Like Ming got to roam and really snowball. He was like 0-1-14 on this game. That's absurd. And then like yeah, and you mentioned kind of like they didn't have anything to succeed with the fiddlesticks. Like the one thing I remember from coverage in this game was they talked about how like Pabu stood behind Dragon Wall for like 3 minutes waiting to try and steal or something and then didn't get it. It's like
yeah.
Oh man, that's tragic. Like you can't afford to wait that long at this level of play is part of the problem.
And I really think he got one Fiddlesticks ult off. Like not even like one good one, but just like he really only was able to execute once. And like Fiddlesticks has been reworked to where you could use that ult a lot because like when you get later into the game, that cooldown is really short. So they built it around like using that like one trick a lot in a game, and they just couldn't get that to happen. And I think it like you have to get some kind of setup with it. Like that's why it works really well with Leona. That's why it really works well with like a Vigar. And so it's really tragic because I think the Fiddlesticks in the right hands and the right composition actually could be really strong. Like Fiddlesticks mid or a Fiddlesticks jungle with like a Nocturne mid and a Gnar top. Oh, that'd be
So like
disgusting.
So like with the Nocturne, so you can like blind them and then you have Fiddlesticks enter the fight. That seems
Right.
like a great way to abuse like a team that's not RNG, where they're not just going to be screaming fight, 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 fight
Right.
as soon as the screen goes dark.
Mm-hmm.
But against the against the LPL representative, I don't know if that's going to be enough. It'll
No,
be
that's
interesting to
just like I hope a team
yeah.
is willing to take like if the Morgana's going to be perma banned, I think that could happen. It's pretty damn strong. I think Fiddlesticks should be the one to step up there. He can clear
Right.
pretty fast. He brings a lot to the table. I think he's got a better late game, and there's a lot of value there if you're willing to pull the trigger on that ult and get that like perfect storm of crows. Uh,
So just checking like bans this game, I see that like the Morgana was banned, and then it looks like. So Pentanet has done a bit of research. So they banned Lucian and Jace, which are good because they're flex picks for RNG, and Xiaohu will win top with either one of those champions. And then they banned the Varus, which is like the strong lane champion right now. I think the Varus ban's a bit of a mistake. Gala hasn't really played it. Like he's mainly Kaisa, so like I don't think that worked out well for them. But yeah, so I'm curious about the RNG Ari ban. Like, I wonder if that's just because like Chaz actually look good on that champion, or if they just don't want to deal with dumb Everfrost nonsense, or what. But
yeah, I think that's very cute because I mean, like, where do you pair? Because they picked I don't know. Like, I wouldn't be afraid of Ari. Like, just like compositionally, like cramming Ari into.
That's the only game where it
pick.
showed up.
Yeah.
So it was in that one ban. So
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a Chaz target.
It has to be.
Yeah. So next game was Pentanet versus UOL, and then here was another Gnar win, which is concerning. And then in this game, Pentanet banned Nocturne and Lee Sin. I think they're on the other side of the map though.
Yeah.
And then UOL banned some ADCs, and then still got the Kaisa. So like, I think teams are thinking the Varus is good into the Kaisa or something, or an answer to it, but it sure hasn't happened yet. So we'll see if like there's like some delayed reaction here in the meta, where it's good into it if you know what you're doing, and so we see like good teams win with it. Like I bet you Damwon wins with Varus into Kaisa.
Yeah.
But
then again, like putting like the bot lane is the way into a victory against Damwon, so maybe like roll the dice on that.
Yeah. All right, and so it looks like in this game the Rumble flex to mid lane definitely did not work.
No.
Because they just got like and it wasn't even a flex. They'd already locked Kindred, yeah? Or oh shoot, I don't see the order. I'm guessing it was a flex.
So. Yeah, I don't think you like because what is Rumble picked into mid? Not a ton.
Ori. Yeah, and it's like the Orianna for No Man's.
Yeah.
So like No Man's hard wins mid, Anonisic like hard wins jungle. Pabu's 0-4-0 in this game, so Kindred has not looked good in this tournament.
No, I don't think Kindred is going to look good in this tournament. I'd be very surprised. Like, if you're gonna pick an AD jungle, like, do Udyr. I don't think anything's wrong with Udyr right now.
And this was another Tom Kench game too, and I don't think Tom Kench is good, and so we'll see how that plays out.
I think there was some weird read on the meta where, like, Tom Kench, Varus, and Kindred were a thing. I think it's the wrong half of the read because get your ADs in the mid lane, get your APs in your jungle, and just fight, and keep up a very rampant tempo and control the game. Have the agency to cram towers into your wallet and then slap it across the enemy's face like that. I think that's going to be the name of the big wins that come through in this tournament, is when you are abusing this chain whip lane push, then as a synergistic team go and punish the enemy jungler. Like you have to do it.
I will say that I thought the Ornn upgrade for Prowler's Claw on your ADC is spicy.
Oh, Ornn. Ornn into Gnar isn't terrible, right?
You know what Ornn is awful into though? What Robo won with in the next game, which is Darius. I would not want to play that lane matchup. So then next was Wildcats versus Pain Gaming, which I thought was one of the better games.
It was so fun to watch.
It was so much fun. It was a banger. Like they literally banned 3 ADCs first round against Holy Phoenix, and then he picked Samira in his 4-0 at the start of this game.
Yeah, he looked really good. He looked really good. Poor BRTT, my boy.
Farfetch'd also looked strong. Lucy definitely looked like the weaker support in this game as far as that was concerned. But fortunately, like Pain has like 2 like super carries because Tinone's is really good and definitely showed up and bailed out Robo after like Robo got put behind early by that ferret gank. And then like, you know, here's Tinone shows up, casually picks up a double kill top lane and gets Robo back into it. And then like the Darius just takes over late game because like that's the problem when you have this like Lee Sin set Rumble like Samira Deathball comp is it's like all right just like all the melee range against Darius. I'm sure this will work out.
And Conqueror CDR Silas like just sucking up that health and it was called out on the cast like he was grabbing the Alistar ult like every time before, so that was a big beefy chain man like all of those rippling muscles just coming
with the Everfrost for extra CC just setting them up
asinine. Absolutely asinine.
Yeah so because I thought that Wildcats played like the early game very well in this game, and they looked very strong and comfortable in this matchup. It felt like it was going to be another like Wildcats win, and then like it just got to the point where like the Darius and Silas were too strong, and the fact that even though like Lucy didn't have the best early game, like he doesn't have to do too much to just jump in and press R, and it worked out pretty well once they started getting there. Because like Wildcats got like a pretty big gold lead. This was another one of the comebacks. They had another spike around 36 minutes where they got like another dragon or something, and then and then it just went downhill really fast.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. I think this group's gonna be a lot of fun. With how these two teams looked.
Like if Pain gets out, I'm gonna be so excited. That bot lane's got to get it together, and I get that, but. Yeah, like top jungle mid looks really good.
So if you think Pain's gonna get it out,
I'm hoping. I think it would be cool to see.
For Pain to get out, they're gonna need the next PSG Talon to like continue to not look so good. So like the last game then was Mad Lions versus PSG Talon, which was another banger, although it was very one-sided.
Yes.
Where Mad Lions just like ran them over. And like so much of this game was Elyoya and Kaiser just like hard winning this game, right? Like, is that what you saw too?
Yeah.
Because I definitely felt that like Elyoya on the Udyr just like, and this was another game where like
agency
River
and just did things.
He played with agency, but he also knows what to do when he gets like wrecked in the early game, right? Like BLABER like was like in his unfortunate spot where he can't get a crab. So he just kind of like, so they just kind of back off, right? Or they just don't know what to do. Elyoya gets like, you know, knocked out of getting a crab. So what does he do? He just ganks a lane. He just like hard forces a gank. They get a kill, and then they start winning the game off of that play. Like he doesn't like give. This is a part of why I like Elyoya more than Inspired in jungle from EU. Is that like he's used to his team like dropping the ball, and because of that he can actually like make these calls and win games.
I'm going in
like if you're used to winning every game because your laners are always winning, how are you going to react when you're up against like actual teams who like have junglers like River, who is very strong? Like this is PSG Talon is not a bad team.
No, not
like,
by any
this
means.
Was and like the fact that like they were able to snowball this as well as they did was like really incredible in my mind. also, this was a game where like that top Lee Sin came through and Armut looked comfortable on it. Some of his plays weren't the cleanest. He's no Karsa, but
Yeah,
like
the mechanics for his normal champion pull and the mechanics of Lee Sin are a little bit different, and I'm gonna give him a soft pass for a warm up game on that Lee Sin. But at the end of the day, the Lee Sin in lane's job is to chain whip the back line of minions and keep that wave under tower, and then go play with your jungler with some toys there. So, Armut, you get a C plus, and that's all you need.
and like even Maple looked okay in the early part of the lane against Humanoid, and then like once the jungle gap got really big, that and the support started roaming, that's when like the set just like started like getting dumpstered, because all of a sudden there's like this Nautilus who's showing up and he's like hooking you in mid lane, and then you get like bear slapped, and then the Rise just CCs you, and then that felt super over after like almost from minute 3 as Elyoya like made that play happen.
Yeah, and
like,
kudos on Mad, because they picked the Lee Sin, and then they saw the set. They're like, nah, he's not going there. and then on the flip side of that, like, how good is Set as a counter pick to these like hard shoving AD mids? I don't know, man. Like, I could see the thought process, but like, is there a world where mid Renekton did a little bit better than that, especially into the Rise after he got bamboozled? I think there's some alternatives.
So Renekton was first banned from Mad Lions, so it seems like this was like that might have been planned, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that like
one other thing,
you activated my trap card.
Yeah, one other thing though is that like the set has been good into like some of these more traditional control mages who don't have like hard lockdown CC, right? Like people played set into like Syndra or Zoe, who like Syndra does have the stun with the knockback, but like you have to hit it, and then also you have to there are ways to like mitigate a lot of her damage with the W from set, versus like Rise, who's just like a machine gun.
The machine gun mage.
That's a very different matchup for like what you would play this into from a mage perspective. So I think that they kind of got thrown off a bit by like lane assignments, like you called out with like the flex of Lee Sin to top lane as some of this other stuff. And also, I don't think that with they themselves banned the Rumble out, which is probably necessary, but like without you having one of the hard shove AP farmers, I don't think Nidalee's quite as strong against like what Mad Lions is bringing to the table on her own. Like you need some other way to set it up. And then they had like the only CC lane they had really was mid actually for the Nidalee. And Maple did have shove early because of that, and the threat there. But like, I don't know. Like I think Kaiser and Elyoya both played incredibly well, and just like made it super easy for them to just win this game.
Yeah, I think Lee Sin has to go up in priority because it's too flexible. Because like, what if you put it in jungle? I don't know what it does, but you could put it there if it's really disadvantageous to put him in a lane. I don't see how that would happen. I don't think anyone's got an answer to it.
There'd have to be like 6 jungle bans to get to that point or something. It's like you have to ban the Udyr, you have to ban the Rumble, you have to ban the Morgana, and then so maybe 3, but like you'd have to have like 3 jungle bans first rotation.
Well, and what I'm saying, like, it's just so good in lane. Like, I don't see a problem it going top. It's really good in mid. I don't know if there is an answer to it. The most successful answer we've seen is the Nocturne, which I think, like, just ban it then. If you can ban the Nocturne and take the Lee Sin, what are they going to take into it? I guess the Renekton is the answer. But then at the same time, you're forcing them into a Renekton pick. If you feel like you can skill gap them there, do it. So, like, Lee Sin's got to be a high priority here. And I would say if you're not comfortable taking it, ban it, and then let them have the Nocturne, and that's a little bit easier to deal with, in my opinion.
So there was no Lucian, like, shown in this draft in this game. It's like another thing. So like maybe picking one of your ADC to mid lane as the answer to the Lee Sin would be an option. I'm curious about the Seraphine versus Lee Sin matchup. Did they nerf Seraphine into the dirt this patch? I hope so.
Yeah, I think
Because
so.
there's been no Seraphine prio, and because that would be the
I
other
think
thing
she's
that
too
I'd see.
stationary is the issue.
Well, she's stationary, yeah, but Lee Sin would have a hard time fully shoving that lane. Is kind of what I'm getting. Is what I think. Kind of like Rise, where it's Lee Sin goes to hard shove your lane in to crash it into the turret, and then he gets hit by the double snare or whatever, and then the jungler shows up, and then he gets force low and has to blow sums, and it's that seems to me like what you'd want to have. It either is you have an ADC who you can have lane prio with, like Lucian, or you have some hard CC like the Rise, like the Seraphine, where you can control wave state, where you prevent it from crashing into your turret, but you also offer a form of CC that he can't just juke his way out of as easily, so that he has a harder time deciding when to finish off. But yeah, it does definitely seem stronger from these games where he's shown up today.
Yeah.
And I'm really scared when we see players who look more comfortable on some of these picks. I think it was the last game where the Rumble jungle looked very uncomfortable. They dropped Rumble ults across lanes in some cases where there was one person underneath, and it's these teams are good enough, not necessarily against jungle Rumble, because not every player has had to play against Xerxes for an extended window. But they're good enough to have they're good against teams playing top lane Rumble to know that as soon as your Rumble ultimate is down, your team fight power is dramatically reduced for whatever follows. Because that's the Rumble ult is so scary in these team fights, kind of like a better gangplank ult.
Yes.
In a lot of ways, and setting it up. And so if they drop that, just trying to put damage on somebody and all they get is a flash, it's actually not a winning trade if you keep the fight going. You need to reset after that happens.
And we saw that in the Pain game because they tried to ult the Darius with the then he just walked out of it. I think he had to flash maybe.
He flashed.
And then they were just wait a minute. 80% of the damage was just blown on trying to close a gap. So fuck it, we're going
and then they turn and then they win the fight.
Yes.
So and they also had the exhaust for the Samira, which is very smart. I think that Pain had some very smart decisions in how they played that game, as well as how they drafted, that paid off very well, because Wildcats looked very strong in the early parts of that game, and then like we talked about earlier, the scaling, as well as some of these smart decisions with the exhaust, really just carried the game. Also the lack of comfort with the Rumble, and so that'll be another thing to watch, is what other teams that aren't RNG can play with jungle Rumble. One of the things historically with Rumble comps is that you want someone else to bring CC. So that might be another reason why Gnar is so high prio in some of these games, is Gnar ult with Rumble ult is very good.
It's gross. And that might be what masks the Gnar nerfs, is that his kit is so good with team synergy. It's so hard to nerf that out of viability in this stage. In high level pro play, it is very hard to take away enough from the Gnar to make him not viable, which is why I am an advocate of boosting some more of these team fight oriented top laners into viability, because you just fit without reworking Gnar, which I don't think you should do. That kit's really strong. His power just comes from how he synergizes with a team. You cannot nerf that conceptually. So just add some options to do a similar task that has a better trade-off. So if Gnar becomes the new Renekton of top lane, where he is the standard, you have some options where Wukong is the better late game version of Gnar, but has some severe weaknesses in lane, etc. That's what needs to happen. That's what needs to be found. And that's more of a side rant than anything else. But at the same time, Gnar is just such a viable option when you're looking at a lot of different components within team macro. So
now that my Istanbul Wildcat is here, Do we have anything like important we could mention, Steven, at this window?
Yes, you should buy merch at the Funky Store, which is www.fnky.store. You can get cool shirts. I'm not wearing one because my dates are wrong and I didn't do laundry appropriately. This is a cool shirt that I stole from my brother that I didn't make, but it's still a cool shirt. The shirts we make are kind of like this. They're nerdy and they're fun, and you should wear them too because it's awesome. You can also follow us on socials, which is that way above Eric. Funky Games pretty much everywhere. We put content out there.
Cool. So you mentioned like maybe Payne making it out of this group.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed any like potential upsets yet from day one that you could see happening with, who's expected to make it out, or what are you thinking so far?
I think just because PSG. Wait, so who's it? It's Payne is with
Mad Lions, PSG Talon, and then Istanbul Wildcats.
Yeah, because they beat the Wildcats, and because PSG has shown weakness, I think they could be the second seed. Because is it double round robin?
It's double round robin in groups, yeah.
So if they technically, if they beat the Wildcats twice and beat PSG once, and then Wildcats take a game off of PSG, they got it. So that's very possible. But at the same time, like BRTT looked really rough on that Tristana. I don't think he had a lot of opportunity to shine because we know he can play. He's been around long enough. I think his Lucy is his support, correct?
Yeah.
I think they just got wienered in lane, and so it's hard for the Tristana and the Leona.
It was Rel, I think.
Rel, same thing, same champion,
Yeah.
different look.
Yeah, they had a hard time. And
Yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe they'll be more comfortable in the next lane matchup. Maybe
Yes.
it won't be against Samira, because they also had to play kind of scared with how that went. Where,
Well, they
you
knew
don't
it was
wanna-
going to be a problem. They banned 3 ADCs against.
Well, they forced this lane matchup,
Yeah.
and then it was a lane matchup where they had to play passively because you don't want to try and aggressively trade into Alistar Samira, which is one of the most destructive early game lanes in the game. You get headbutted, pulverized into Samira's burst damage from passive, and that's disgusting.
Yeah. So I think this really, when you look at PSG versus Payne, that's the discussion. So if Payne can take some games, and Maple looked good, but good enough? I don't know. I don't think so. And River against Pabu, I think that's not Pabu. Oh my God, who's the Payne Gaming jungler? Shoot.
I remember
God.
Ferret is the Istanbul Wildcats jungler.
Yeah,
but
I know. I'm getting them all mixed up. Anyway.
It's I forget his name. Played Udyr.
Yeah, he played. Yeah, but at the same time, that top jungle mid synergy on Payne Gaming looked pretty good, pretty good. What you would expect from international competition. And I don't know if PSG Talon will pull it together here. So we'll see. I would love to see it. I would love to see CBLOL pull out some fun stuff. So well. I'm good. We got to watch a fun game of Cloud9. Cloud9 get a better read on the meta. BLABER learn an AP champion. I know there's one in there that's not in Italy. I think you can dig deep and find one. Otherwise, Eric, do you have any closing sentiments that you want to put out there into the world?
I'm just hyped for another international event.
Yeah,
which they can actually compete in.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's get some wins, boys. Let's play the game. Perks plays Lee Sin, looks awesome. GG no re. Easy. All right. Well, this has been the Reaction Time podcast. Thank you so much. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, interact with this content. It really helps us out. Buy merch, reach out, talk to us. We're growing this. We're doing this. It's super fun. MSI is back on. More content on the way. We'll get David back eventually. He's Big Papa now. Congrats, David. We'll miss you. Come back when you're ready. But yeah, we want Big Papa Prof Cedar back on the show. And so, everyone, we'll see you soon in the next time.